Hello, beautiful people. Today is 15th of April. My name is Sahil, and welcome to Newspaper Analysis. Guys, he is Theodore Roosevelt, who was the 26th President of United States of America. Guys, Roosevelt says to educate a man in mind and not in morals is to educate a menace to the society. So, guys, this particular quote becomes very much relevant that a person devoid of any ethics and devoid of any morality will be finding various new ways as how he can exploit and unleash havoc on the society. And guys, this particular quote can also be related to the seven deadly sins which was suggested by the Mahatma Gandhi. Among the seven deadly sins, Mahatma Gandhi also says knowledge without character is a sin. So, guys, we can use this quote in our ethics paper number 4 as well as on the paper in essay. So, guys, let's begin with today's analysis. Guys, this is the page number 1 of the Hindu newspaper, and the first item that we can see here says that PM extends lockdown till May 3. Now, guys, in a public broadcast that was made yesterday, it has been announced that the general lockdown is being extended to 3rd of the May, and it has been told that till 20th of April, severe restrictions will imposed particularly on the hotspots, that is the places which had seen the largest spike into the COVID-19 cases. And after taking the ground realities in account, if there seems to be the improvement, then the relaxations will be given in phase by phase manner. And guys, in the meanwhile, it has been decided that the government will be coming out with a roadmap. Now, guys, apart from this, nothing is mentioned into the news. But if we analyze this particular issue, then certain things we could see here. Now, guys, according to WHO's Global Outbreak and Alert Response Network, it has been said that lockdown could be a second chance for a country. Though lockdown is not an intervention at all, rather, lockdown is a way of buying time so that adequate checks and balances can be made into the system. So, guys, only lockdown will not be able to serve a purpose until and unless a proper strategy is not followed. Guys, in this particular respect, we can follow the example of Singapore as well as Hong Kong. Guys, both of them had played an important role in containing the pandemic, and the steps which have been followed along with a partial lockdown has been as follows, such as rigorous contact tracing, quarantining, isolation, and rapid testing. So, guys, these things have been told many a number of times, but these are the urgent requirements which will be needed along with the lockdown that is also being undertaken. Now, guys, if we see the strategy of Singapore particularly, then Singapore model is one which needs much appreciation here. Guys, first of all, Singapore has been successful to learn from its past. Singapore had experienced a large number of cases due to SARS, and since then they had ramped up their investment into the health infrastructure, as now they could give a better response. Guys, in this direction, though India had also faced a large number of infectious diseases, there were various cases of H1N1 as well as Nipah virus, but the response has not been that much proportional, barring certain states such as Kerala. Guys, after that, Singapore had taken a lot of assistance from technology. For example, the patients who have been infected with COVID 19 has been earmarked with digital wristbands by which the authorities can track their movement and can also identify their vital stats and can see the people to whom they are coming in contact with. Guys, though in this direction, Karnataka is doing very good. For example, Bruhat Bengaluru Mahanagar Palika had developed corona war rooms in which they are geotagging the patients who have been infected with COVID 19 and mapping their location on GPS. But these type of technological interventions are needed to be expanded throughout the country and not only to particular states. Then, guys, after that, due to the lockdown, the economy will also be facing a lot of repercussions. Therefore, a liberal fiscal package is needed to be given, and in this direction, we can learn from US, which had announced a fiscal package worth rupees $2 trillion. Guys, on that particular line, government should expand the scope of Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana, which has been started. And fourthly, we need to focus on to the seamless movement of supply chain, guys, because if it will be broken, then the essential service delivery will not be able to keep its pace and people will start panicking due to non availability of essential goods. In this direction, there should be reduction in interstate barriers, there should be adequate cooperation between the authorities, and clear cut notification and instructions should flow from the government channels so that there is no confusion amongst the authorities regarding the movement as who's allowed and who's not allowed. So, guys, these all things are needed along with the lockdown if India needs to fight with COVID 19. So, guys, this was all about this present article. Now, we'll move to the next item. Guys, now moving to the next item on the page number 1. It talks about Bhopal Gas Survivors. Guys, here we will see briefly about certain aspects of the Bhopal gas tragedy which occurred in 1984. Guys, I am discussing it because in 2019, 35 years of Bhopal gas tragedy has been completed. So there could be a question on this line either onto the prelims with respect to factual aspect, or there could be a question on GS paper number 3, disaster management. Now, guys, the tragic incident occurred in 1984 into the plant of Union Carbide, which was manufacturing pesticides. And, guys, the findings suggest that there was methodological flaw and poor design due to which methyl isocyanate gas leaked into the environment and nearly 5 lakh people were impacted by that particular gas leak incident. Guys, methyl isocyanate is an extremely toxic gas, and if its concentration increases above 20 part per million, it can cause instant death within minutes. And guys, because of this leak, people have been suffering with various type of cardiovascular as well as respiratory disease. Guys, even children which were being born after 1984, they suffer with large physical deformities. In the aftermath of this particular disaster, government took certain steps. For example, in 1991, Public Liability Insurance Act was passed and it made mandatory for the industries who are handling hazardous or toxic substance that they need to take an insurance cover, because if in case a tragedy like this occurs, money could be given to victims from that particular thing. Moreover, guys, the industry owners also need to contribute an amount to the environmental relief fund, which will also be supporting at the time if there happens to be a disaster. Moreover, guys, after this thing, National Disaster Management Act was also passed in 2005 so that a dedicated response to disasters could be given. However, guys, into the present time, what has happened that the victims of Bhopal gas tragedy, they are susceptible to various kind of disease because of their ailments, and now they have become susceptible to the COVID-19, and the majority of people who have died because of COVID-19 happens to be the survivor of Bhopal gas tragedy. So, guys, they are doubly susceptible. Moreover, even because the focus is being shifted towards the COVID-19, they are not able to get timely treatment for their other ailments such as pulmonary diseases, respiratory diseases, and other cardiovascular diseases. So, guys, the situation is jeopardized for these people and they are suffering the burnt of this entire incident. Guys, this is all about this particular news item. Other thing is not there. Please see this entire issue with respect to your exam. Now we'll move to the next news item. Now, guys, the next news item is on page number 2, which says that Yamuna is now clear due to lockdown. So, guys, though on human front, COVID-19 is bringing a lot of catastrophe, but the environment is finding an excuse to rejuvenate into these times of crisis, and the same thing as happened with the Yamuna also. Now, guys, we know that the water pollution is a huge problem in India, but into the rivers such as Ganga and Yamuna, this problem becomes even more pronounced. Now, guys, pollution induced into the river and water bodies by human activities is called as anthropogenic pollution. Guys, in this particular direction, Ministry of Water Resources, River Development and Ganga Rejuvenation is running active programs, but they are of no avail. But now, suddenly the rivers had turned more cleaner, and their chief indicators such as dissolved oxygen, biological oxygen demand have been improved substantially. Now, guys, dissolved oxygen is an important indicator to check the health of a water. Now, oxygen is needed by the aquatic life to survive. Guys, in a water body, if large number of waste and organic matter will be dumped, then bacterial growth into the water body will also bloom, because a large decomposition is now to be carried. And because large decomposition is to be carried, they will consume large amount of oxygen here. And because they will consume large amount of oxygen, there will be no oxygen left for the aquatic life. And guys, in such a way, the water will become unfit for human consumption as well. Guys, in a water body, if DO is below 8.0 milligram per liter, then the water is treated as contaminated. However, if it goes below 4.0 milligram per liter, then the water is considered as highly polluted. So it is an important indicator to show the health of the water. Now, guys, if we move forward, then the concept of BOD comes, that is biological oxygen demand. Now, guys, as the water pollution will increase, the biological oxygen demand will also increase. Guys, BOD refers to the amount of dissolved oxygen that is needed by bacteria to decompose the organic waste which is present into the water. So, guys, if the BOD will be higher, then obviously the DO will go lower. Higher BOD means that more and more oxygen will be needed. And if more oxygen will be needed, oxygen then will be consumed, and then the less oxygen will left into the water. So therefore, dissolved oxygen will go down. So I will again paraphrase. DO represent how much oxygen is there dissolved into the water, whereas BOD represents that how much dissolved oxygen is needed by the bacteria to decompose the organic material. If higher the pollution, higher BOD will be going. Now, guys, into the present context, both the DO as well as BOD have been improved because of particular reason. Reason number one happens that now more industrial effluents are not going into the Yamuna river, due to which the waste has been reduced, and therefore now less of BOD will be there, and dissolved oxygen will also improve. Secondly, guys, what has happened now, more water is coming from the Haryana region into the Yamuna, which had reduced the concentration of the waste which was accumulated. Moreover, guys, now since there is less interference with the river ecosystem, now the self-healing properties of water body are also actively working, and it is showing the result. So, guys, this was all about this particular thing. Now we'll move to the next news item. Guys, here we will just see a passing reference. Guys, it has been said that 80% drop in rape cases have been registered during the lockdown. But one thing to notice is that still the cases of rape and harassment are occurring. For that particular thing, there could be two reasons. Number one is that the earlier complaints which have been registered, now they might be getting materialized into FIR, due to that the cases are coming. Secondly is that there could be certain people who are taking the advantage of the present situation and are committing their heinous motives. Guys, you can use this particular thing as a kind of a data if there happens to be some question on these lines, either on in GS paper number 1 into the topic of social issues, or in GS paper number 2 social justice, or there is a topic that is vulnerable sections of society. So there such data could be used. So just for a passing reference, keep that thing into your mind. And now we'll move to the next news item. Guys, now we'll move to the editorial section of the Hindu newspaper. Now, guys, the first article that we will take surrounds around the Corona bond. Now, guys, there happens to be a little bit of background for this particular thing. Let's understand that. Now, guys, as we know that COVID-19 has unleashing its terror on all the world countries, including the countries of Europe. And if we speak about the statistics, then the Europe is one of the worst affected. Now, guys, so European countries under the aegis of European Union, which by the way is a grouping of 27 countries, want to make a plan for economic recovery. Guys, the economic activities have been down and a large number of countries are directly or indirectly under a lockdown, and huge strain on fiscal resources will be coming into the times to come, and even into the present time a lot of money is needed for the health expenditure. So guys, the story starts from one particular point and will fix that point to the month of March. Now guys, by the way, as you are seeing this map, United Kingdom has came out of the European Union as a part of its Brexit deal. So United Kingdom is not the part of European Union, other countries are there. Now, friends, we know that the countries into the South Europe, such as Spain and Italy, they are the worst affected by the coronavirus. And they know this thing that after coming out of the lockdown, they will be needing a large sum of money. Now, the thing is that a country can raise money or can borrow money, but its borrowing capacity depends on its ongoing economic situation. If their economic situation is good, they can get cheaper credit. If economic situation is not good, they will be getting an expensive credit, and their economic condition is particularly very not good. So it was proposed by a group of southern countries, which happens to be a group of 9 countries by the way, that a kind of an arrangement should be made. What we should do, we should issue the corona bond. By the way, guys, bond is a debt instrument. Bond means that suppose I am taking 100 rupees from some person. Now, I will give to that person a fixed interest rate, for example, 10%. And let's suppose that the maturity of bond is 5 year. So for 5 year, I will give him the interest of 10%, and after 5 year, I will also give him his 100 rupees. So it was in a debt instrument. So government issues the bond by which they take a debt. On that debt, they pay the interest, and after a time, they also redeem that debt. Fine. So now, it was proposed by the southern European countries that we should issue a corona bond, and that bond should be issued collectively by the European Union. Now, they say this thing that since our condition is very bad, it will not be feasible us to raise the loan. However, if 27 countries all will combinedly be raising a bond, then because of cumulative economic condition is good, we will get a cheap credit, and that particular debt will be distributed on all the countries, so one country's balance sheet will also not be stretched. However, guys, in all this respect, certain countries have a problem, and that particular countries are represented by a group which is called as frugal 4. Now, guys, these frugal 4, these countries are very much against the bond, and they are apprehensive of any kind of loan taking program. And even Germany has a provision of Schwarz null, which means that Germany will never be resorting to debt. Now, guys, they say that first of all, we don't like the debt. Secondly, you guys are proposing that the money will be distributed to the people in their own need, so by the implication the countries such as Italy and Spain will be getting more money, but the burden will be distributed equally. So they say that why we should bear the burden of that particular thing. So basically these frugal 4 are against the corona bond. So, guys, this particular matter struck there, and a kind of a ideological war between the north and south was going on. So, guys, then a kind of things went, and one more arrangement came, and now the arrangement came under the umbrella of Eurozone. Guys, Eurozone is a sub part under European Union which contains 19 countries of European Union. These countries are those which accept euro as their currency. Now guys, recently the finance ministers of Eurozone countries, they have announced a 540 billion euro economic package for the countries which are hit by the coronavirus. Now guys, within this 540 billion euro package, 240 billion will be given by the European Stability Mechanism. Now guys, it is a permanent facility which is based into Luxembourg, and ESM makes sure that the financial assistance should be given to the countries of Eurozone when they are in crisis. Guys, this particular agency was established during the time of economic crisis in 2012. Now guys, the money which will be raised through ESM, this 240 billion dollar, this money will be used for the direct and indirect health related expenditures as well as for the prevention of the disease. Now guys, apart from this 240, 100 billion euro will be given by the European Investment Bank, and this 100 billion euro could be used to support the business enterprises into the economy. Guys, then 100 billion euros are being given by the European Commission as unemployment insurance scheme. So that particular money will be used for the people who will get unemployed. So guys, in total 540 billion euro reform package has been announced. 240 billion here, 100 billion here and 100 billion here. Guys, here also there is a problem. The problem is that the Netherlands is providing this particular thing, that the money that you are getting under 240 billion, that is ESM category, you can use only that money for the health and related expenditures. But Italy want that we also want to use that money for other purposes, and we want that there should be no string attached clause. You can't restrict us how we are spending that particular money. But again, the Netherlands and the Frugal Four have problem with this particular thing. So guys, it has been said that as soon as possible some arrangement and some solution for this thing should be found out, though corona bond are nearly dead now, and in that case the reform package should be restructured. Guys, moreover, it has also been said that the amount needed is much more than the 540 billion. They might be using 1 trillion euros. So in that particular capacity, European Central Bank has assured them that yes, we will also be giving a separate financial package. However, for the meantime, a deal is needed to be finalized. Guys, this particular editorial deals as what should be the course of action as we are plagued with the epidemic of COVID-19. Now, guys, the pandemic of COVID-19 is such an health emergency that nothing of such magnitude has ever been seen by India and other countries as well. Guys, the first response that government took into the aftermath of COVID-19 was to impose a lockdown, and that lockdown has now even been extended. And guys, what is the need is that we need a strategy as how we will be dealing with the scenario after the lockdown. Guys, right now the people who might be infected but they have not been tested, they are confined into their homes. But the once the lockdown will be removed, they will be coming out, and then they will be posing a kind of a health problem. Therefore, guys, in this particular direction, we need to adopt a public health approach which should include all the components such as prevention, care, as well as support. Now, guys, the editorial suggests that first task should be to identify all the possible risks which could be there, and that particular thing could be done on the active study which should be made on the basis of evidences and proofs. Now, guys, according to editorial, the first step that should be taken is that we should identify the people who had came from abroad, and we search their family and to look whether they have developed symptoms, and if they have turned symptomatic, then those people should be quarantined immediately either into their home or into some community care centers. Guys, it has been said that they should not immediately be referred to the hospitals because large number of COVID patient will be getting mild symptoms and will be able to recover without any expert interventions. And guys, if they will be referred to the hospitals immediately, then the hospitals will be clogged and the patients who are in urgent need of care might not be able to get the assistance and they will suffer. Guys, as we are talking about organizing the quarantine centers, we can take the help of the civil societies who can help to organize those centers. Now guys, after that particular thing, we also need to ensure the security of our frontline force, that is doctors and other medical practitioners. For them, it is very much imperative that the protective gear such as PPE suits and face masks should be arranged in adequate qualities. Guys, though government of India is in talks with the China and is making arrangements to import the PPE suits, those things should be mobilized as earliest as possible. And guys, we should also anticipate the demand of ventilators which might be going up, so therefore adequate units should also be installed. Guys, when we are talking about the arranging of these things, we can mobilize the community and can ask the help from them. Moreover, guys, as the hospitals will be flooded by the patients, we need to make sure that adequate counseling is given to the people who are needing it. Now, guys, the importance of counseling can be gauged from this particular fact that these people can act as an interface between the patient and doctor and can relieve the much pressure from the doctor, and in that particular capacity doctors will be able to work more efficiently. So these counselors can act as a buffer and we should hire them into the sufficient numbers. Now guys, government is running a large number of national programs and from there these counselors could be mobilized. Guys, again talking about the counselors, they can provide the much needed information to the patients and members and can also prevent the panic as well as fear amongst the citizens of society. Now guys, after that particular thing, we also need to look one more section of society, that is the family of the people who have been infected. Now guys, the family members, they face a very problematic kind of situation because on one hand they need to take care of the person who has been infected, and on other hand they also need to stay into the quarantine facility because they might also have infected the virus. Now guys, at this particular point, the society and the resident welfare association should turn cooperative and should make sure that these family members are not being stigmatized into the society and adequate care should be given to them. Now guys, as I told you, into the metropolitan cities, resident welfare associations as well as mohalla committees can play an enabling role, and into the smaller towns, village and district administration can arrange the local communities who can provide the supporting services to the family members who have been infected by COVID-19. Now guys, after that particular thing, we also need to focus one more thing, that is the testing of the masses. Now friends, there are two type of tests. One are the RT-PCR test which sees that at present the virus is present in the body or not. Other are the rapid body test which sees into the blood plasma whether the antibodies have been developed, and these antibodies could have been developed because a person had earlier infected the virus but right now he might not be infected. So guys, these rapid body tests though may not be able to give the present status but can ascertain whether a person is into the line of danger or not. And at the same time, these rapid body tests are cheaper and can be conducted on large population. So therefore rapid body tests are needed to be made on large population, and we should ascertain the number of people who might be under the line of danger. Now guys, after that thing, we should also not forget about the migrant laborers and workers who are reaching back their home. Now friends, they pose problem on two front. First of all, the problem is posed on the front of administration as they might not be able to respond such large exodus. And guys, on other front, there is a problem that shelter, food and other basic necessities have also been provided to these migrants. So in this particular direction, we can take help of the communities. Now friend, communities can make this particular thing very sure that the advantages and schemes which are made for the benefit of the people can actually reach them. Guys, often these organizations are made up of public spirited individuals, and often corruption is not resorted, so therefore they should be utilized. At the same time, corporate social responsibility funds can also be utilized to provide immediate relief. Now, guys, the editorial suggests that in the meantime, till when the preventive vaccine is not available and the drug is also not being developed, we need to focus on the prevention, community participation, and government's assistance. So, these are the three pillars on whose basis we can fight the pandemic of COVID 19. Again, I repeat, prevention, community participation, and government assistance. So, guys, this was all about this article. Now, we'll move to the next article. Guys, the next editorial discusses as how in the wake of economic liberalization and globalization, countries have lost their indigenous capacities of manufacturing. Now guys, 1970s and 80s were the eras of globalization and connectiveness. Guys, this was the time when the countries are getting integrated with each other and a phenomena of globalization was being discussed. So guys, globalization is the integration of supply chains, markets, production facilities, customer base, support system, all this thing. I am using a product which might have been made in China. Its technology might have been perfected in America. And if today I need a support, then the call center might be situated in Brazil. So this is the example of globalization. Now, guys, there could be the globalization of production. Deliberately, in order to reduce the cost, companies often try to shift their production to those countries where the cheap labor along with cheap raw material is available. Therefore, guys, in this direction, a large number of companies have shifted their supply base to the Asia. For example, Bangladesh happens to be one of the leading producer of garments. And guys, the developed countries also favored this kind of relocation because they wanted to shift the polluting industries to other developing nations, and it will not be having any uh, lost to the developed countries because the ownership will stay into their hands only. Now guys, as these things are being globalized, the countries which were there into the production, they achieved a lot of value addition. And guys, this value addition was disproportionately went to countries such as China, which emerged as a kind of a manufacturing hub, and their entire economy is based around this manufacturing. Now guys, if we look about China, how it developed as a manufacturing hub, so originally China was left behind when the industrial revolution was being carried into the England. Though after 1950s, under the leadership of communist government, China started to reverse its trend, and despite of going towards socialism, they turned towards a capitalistic model of production. Guys, they carried out backward integration. For example, they are assembling a mobile set, and from this mobile set they made backward integration as how we can make the component, how we can assemble those component, and all these things. And in the mean course of time, they were not only assembling the mobile phone, rather they started to manufacture the entire mobile phone and emerged as a manufacturing hubs. Guys, when we're talking about China's emergence, China also became a leader into the health products. For example, China is the leading producer of API, that is active pharmaceutical ingredient. Now guys, any medicine has the major bulk of one or two salt, and and those salts which make the bulk volume of a medicine are called as API. Now, majority of countries depend for their API on China, and even if we talk about India, there are certain sectors for which we our dependence on China is 80 to 95%, even to 100%. Entire API is coming from China. Moreover, guys, when we talk about protective equipment, personal protective equipment, that is PPE suits, gloves, masks, China is the leading producer of these particular kind of things. Now, guys, as this phenomena was occurring into the aftermath of COVID 19, various countries realized that they had almost gave up the entire manufacturing capabilities, and now they are not able to respond to the crisis. For example, UK government realized that they have acute shortage of ventilators, and it had to ask the other manufacturers to make ventilators on urgency basis. Guys, at the same time, United States have to invoke Defense Production Act of 1950, under which it can ask any company to make any good into the national interest, and by invoking this particular act, they are making the N95 masks. At the same time, French government had provided this thing that if need will arise, they will nationalize their vaccine companies so that people could get them. Whereas Spain have nationalized their private hospitals, and Israel and Chile are going for providing the licenses to their generic drug manufacturers, and patents are being cancelled. Now, guys, all these could be examples as what is happening, but they also serve as a phenomena which have unfolded into the world countries. It shows that majority of countries have simply lost their production and manufacturing capabilities, and they are clearly dependent on other countries, and it shows the poor state of a country in respect to meeting the pandemic of such as COVID-19. Now, if we discuss the same thing with respect to India, then economic liberalization occurred in 1991, and we moved from license quota permit Raj towards a free and open economy. Now, guys, into the name of free economy, the editorial suggests that government had various mistakes. For example, government had forgotten that that state sponsored manufacturing holds not only an economic relevance, rather it also holds a kind of a strategic relevance. Now, what has happened into this 29 years of private sector led manufacturing and liberalization, government had simply lost the track as what's our country's capabilities. Simply, if I quote, government do not have data as what they can manufacture. Government don't know that how many medical equipments can be made into the country. Guys, for past few months, government is corresponding with the pharmaceutical companies to give them the actual data, but they simply don't have. And when government is not able to arrange the data, how government will be able to arrange the essential goods and commodities? Guys, moreover, when we talk about the private sector, they had chosen the manufacturing of only those goods and objects which will give them the maximum profit, and nobody is thinking for the strategic manufacturing, and government has also retracted from this particular thing. Now, so, in a way, editorial has been suggested that the removal of license and quotas was not entirely good because government lost its strategic manufacturing capability. Now, guys, if we take the example of PPEs, medical devices, diagnostics, Indian companies are not able to make them. We had placed orders with the Chinese entities, for example, 50 million PPE kits, gowns, masks, rapid testing kits have been placed at China. So, at this particular crucial moment, also, we have to depend on China. Moreover, as I was telling you that India is hugely dependent with respect to API on China, the same thing is happening now. Now, guys, just take an example. Few day back, USA asked India that India should supply them the hydroxychloroquine. But how India can supply them the hydroxychloroquine when India depends on China with respect to the APIs which will be used to make the hydroxychloroquine? So, on the paper, India claims to be the pharmacy to the world, but essentially, India is dependent on the China. Now, guys, it has been said that it was not good for India to give so much of reliance onto the private sector, and government should have kept sufficiency in their hands also. Guys, if we take the example of rapid antibody test and other test for the coronavirus, we need a particular substance which is known as reagents. And guys, into the term of reagents, 100% dependence is on China. So, guys, one virus had made us to think that what wrong is going into the Indian manufacturing, and it is high time that we should take a call on this particular aspect. So, guys, this was all about this particular article. Now we'll move to the next article. Now, guys, the next news item is on page number 10, where ICMR has suggested testing of pooled samples. Now, guys, this is an excellent example of Indian jugaad. Now, my friends who don't know Jugaad is the part of India's way of life. Jugaad is a process by which people, though having minimum resources, can take out maximum utility. Now, guys, what has happened? It has been suggested that we need to carry a large number of tests and substantial populations should be tested. But there is a problem that we don't have the resources to test all the people, and even if we want, we don't have enough number of test kits so that we can carry the test. In this particular process, the pooled samples will come handy. Now what will happen here? We will take the samples of multiple individuals and we will mix them, and then this entire sample will be tested for the RT-PCR. Now guys, what happens if this entire sample tested to be negative? It means that all the people who have their specimen into this test tube, they all were negative, and in one test we will declare 5 people to be negative. However guys, if this particular sample turns out to be positive, then all the 5 people whose specimen has been put into this particular sample tray, they will be tested again, and it will be identified that who's negative and who's positive. So guys, this pooling of test will be more important at the places where there is less prevalence of COVID-19, because anyhow large number of population is not having the virus. So in large samples we can declare the entire district or entire locality as COVID free in very less number of time and with very less number of resources. And if in thousands of sample trays, if 2 3 tested positive also, then we can identify exactly that these batch is containing people who are having the virus, and then they can be tested again. So guys, I hope you are able to understand this particular thing. It will save a lot of resources, a lot of time. Guys, one thing here, when the sample will be combined or will be pooled at one time, we will take maximum of 5 samples. Otherwise the sample can become diluted and the test result will give false negative. For example, if I take 25 samples and only one person had the COVID, so those 24 samples, those negatives will overpower that one positive, and even that one positive person will turn out to be negative. So this was a pooling of samples. Now guys, next news is coming from the Kaziranga National Park, Assam. Now in Kaziranga National Park, there are large number of one-horned rhino. And guys, it has been stated that even during the lockdown, the hunting attempts have not been reduced, and still the rhino is being hunted. Now guys, rhino is hunted majorly for his horn, which has large medicinal qualities. Now guys, there is nothing important into this news. The Kaziranga National Park, which has mentioned it is in Assam, and secondly, the one-horned rhino has been stated on IUCN list as vulnerable. So guys, this was all about today's news items. I hope you are liking our video. If you like it, then please do subscribe to our channel and please share our videos. Thank you so much.